Hello everybody, my name's Tristan. I've just been asked to say a few words to you all about my spiritual journey. And so basically, if I start from the beginning, I was brought up in a Christian family. My mum and dad were both Christian. I'm one of four boys. I'm the eldest of four boys. And we basically... my earliest memories of church, I don't have too many, if I'm honest. We used to go to very traditional Anglican churches. There was one in particular we used to go to in Hingham, which is in South Norfolk. But we only used to go on sort of occasions like Easter and Christmas. I think my parents found church a real struggle when you got young boys, because I just remember having to dress really smart, having to sit in these pews, these very uncomfortable seats. And basically I was told, you just need to be quiet for the next hour, don't say anything. There wasn't any Sunday school as far as I remember, and it was just something to be endured. There were lots of songs, I couldn't sing any of them, and it was very traditional. And whilst that was a really important style of worship for my parents, I think we as children struggled with that, and that made church really difficult for them, I think. That changed. I remember getting to 12, 13, and I just started to be so much more inquisitive about my faith, something I'd just always taken as, well, this is true. I started to want to know more. I think it may be the scientist in me. So why is this, and why did this happen, and what evidence is there for this? And so I started to dig a bit deeper. And we started attending a service at Hingham. There was a new pastor. He wanted to get more families into the church. So we had these family services. And I just remember them being so different. We used to sit in the choir stalls for a start. So you can imagine these sort of stalls like this. And families sitting either side, lots of young children for a start. And they grew in popularity, musical instruments that we could just shake, we could make noise, we didn't have to stay quiet in church. That was quite liberating in many ways. And everything was a little bit more family aimed. And I would imagine maybe the adults didn't get as much from it, but there was just the opportunity for us to be there as kids. And I remember that was the first time in my life that we probably attended church regularly. Sunday mornings became a regular thing. From that, I was confirmed. I decided that actually this was right. This Jesus that I'd heard about was real, and I did want to commit myself to him. And so I was confirmed when I was about 13 years old. And we went to church probably a little bit after that, maybe for another year. The family, I don't know what happened, if I'm honest, whether the family services stopped, whether things just became more difficult because both my parents were working and my mum had to work some weekends as well. And it just kind of stopped. And as I got older, I found that I was more and more questioning about my faith. I think most of my friends weren't Christians. I had no friends that were Christians, really. And so for me, it came a little bit difficult to kind of admit that I was a Christian. If I'm honest, my faith kind of just dropped. I still believed in God, but I think I just maybe would start to, these sort of thoughts crept in that maybe this wasn't real, and I started to doubt more than I'd ever done before. And therefore, I really encourage people to pray for our young people at school. School is a difficult place to be a Christian. And so, we've got some amazing young people in our church that passionately believe, and they take that into their schools, and they really do need prayer and encouragement for that. And so I don't know what would have happened to me, if I'm honest. I always say that, I believe that my wife saved my soul a little bit, but, I genuinely mean that, in the sense that when we met, we went to the same sixth form college. I went to a different sixth form college, to the school I attended. And we met, I know I was sort of 17 years old, and we sort of got together in the second year of us being there, and she started to take me to a few events that she attended. She took me to her church. She attended Wyndham Baptist Church, which was pastored by our very own Kevin Taylor, and that showed me that church can be a little bit different. There were guitars, there was a drum kit. That was very strange for me, and the songs were very different, and people were waving flags. Again, not something I was used to seeing at all. And she also started to take me to these Youth for Christ events in Norwich. Again, funny how things go, led by our very own Ian Savoury. And they were so different, so many young people, which I wasn't used to. I just didn't think young people believed in God. I just, from the churches I'd been to, that just wasn't what I'd seen. And so that different dynamic to worship and expressing your faith, to be honest, really wasn't my cup of tea to start with, just simply because it wasn't what I was used to, which is why I think, we do as churches have to be understanding that sometimes even people come in, our church can be a very strange place for somebody that's not used to that. And so it is something that I've always considered in different churches I've been in. I sort of from there, we went to university, were part of a church at university, grew my faith. And I think every church I've been to, my faith has grown in different ways. We went to Beccles Baptist, and that was the church I was at. I was 25 years old and just felt powerfully convicted that I had to be baptised. And so I was. I went to baptismal classes. I was baptised. I was the first member of my family to have a full immersion baptism. I remember inviting my family along. We'd lost my dad, unfortunately, to cancer a couple of years earlier, and so it was a real hard point in my life, I think, because I genuinely felt that he was going to be healed and God would heal him, and that didn't work out as I expected. And so that led to a lot of questions and a lot of doubts from me, and if I'm honest, I was angry with God for a while as a result of that. But came through that and felt that actually being baptised after that was the right thing to do. And so I would just encourage anybody to sort of, don't be afraid of asking questions. I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of question asking at that point. Find people that you can talk to. And that's why when Alpha starts at the church, it's a really great thing to try and get people along to. For me, it was Christianity Explored that kind of led to me being baptised. And from there, we were part of a church in Fakenham for 11 years when we moved to North Norfolk. In that time, we were Sunday school leaders. We organised church weekends. Esther and I organised a couple of church weekends for the church. We were church leaders for a while as well. Worship leader I was too. So really big part of that church. And moving away from that was really very difficult. When we moved to Sheringham a year and a half ago, we felt it was the right move for our family. And it was absolutely the right move, but it was a real difficulty leaving that church. But here we are at Lighthouse. And as with any new church, it always takes a little bit of time to settle and get to know people, but we are glad that we're here. It's an incredible place with some really wonderful people, and just want to thank everyone really that's been part of making us feel welcome as a family. And that's it. That's my Christian journey. It's gone on a little longer than I thought it might, so my apologies for that. But yeah, in many ways unspectacular. I always used to feel a little bit, that my journey wasn't worth telling because there was no massive conversion, no road to Damascus moment. But I think everybody's story is different. And mine has certainly been one of a gradual shaping of my faith as I've gone through life. And I think that's what God continues to do as I continue to sort of move forwards and trusting more and more in Him every day. That's the plan anyway. So thank you everybody if you're still listening after I started, thanks for sticking with it. God bless you, and look forward to seeing everybody soon.